What's up everyone, thanks for tuning in. So today I'm just going to be vlogging some work I'm going to be doing on the DA Integra today. Going to be converting to Obd1 and fix a couple things here and there, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. This is a 91 Acura Integgra DA. I bought it swapped from the previous owner with he told me a high compression B20B imported from Japan. I got no proof of that, but there is this Japanese stamp on here, so whatever that means. Car runs good, but under further inspection of it, things kind of I'm not gonna say hacked together. It's actually done really well, believe it or not. When I got it, even had AC still attached, everything working. I'm pretty sure AC worked, except I didn't notice that the fuse for the AC blew, so I'm pretty sure if I just switched that fuse, AC probably would have worked. So it's got innovative mounts. Transmission, I believe, is the small spleen. I thought it was the old B16 cable, but I'm starting to think it's just the Y1 LS transmission, which for those of you that don't know, it has a 4.4 final drive, which is probably why it feels like it has a little bit more pep than the Hydro B series LS transmission. But regardless, everything runs and drives smoothly. I probably put about almost 700 miles just driving this thing, but I really don't drive it that much, and I haven't really driven it all summer, mostly due to the fact that well, first off, this is an Obd2 era engine that has the B18 intake manifold from Obd0, and it has an Obd0 distributor, and it's running off the Obd0 B18 non-VTEC LS original ECU that's in this car. So I'm pretty sure the maps aren't too far off from the B18 to the B20, but just to play it safe, since I don't know like what timing is and what fueling is, you can definitely tell driving it, it's not running off a smooth map. So I'm going to convert this thing to Obd1 today. The only thing I'm waiting on, hopefully it comes today as I'm filming this, is my AEM AFR gauge and all that stuff. So if that doesn't come, then hopefully I'll just get everything else set up. I might even just load in this base map that I made based off the B18 LS map. Just at least definitely a lot smoother fuel and spark map. So hopefully, cross my fingers, at least the car will run off that and just kind of wait for the AFR. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If it shows up tomorrow, I might just like do as much as I can today and just leave this here. So the first thing I'm going to do is honestly just check everything. Check the valve lash on the valve train, check the gap on the spark plugs, check the spark plugs, basic stuff. Check the oil. I've done the transmission fluid on this thing, so I know that's good. Third gear is grinding, which is to be expected, so I'm sure one of these days I'm going to have to pull this transmission out and rebuild it, which is no big deal. But first problem I discovered, which might explain kind of why this car isn't running as smooth as it should. 1, 2, 3, 4. Firing order. This is the Obd0 distributor. Freaking noticed that they have 3 and 2 backwards, so it should be 1, 3, 2, 4. So I'm gonna fix that up, start the car, and see if that actually like changes anything. Okay, so kind of wrong. This is what I mean by that. So like I said earlier, cylinders 1, 2, 3, 4. What he actually had was the marked number 3 spark plug wire on the right firing order on here, but just used the wrong, just maxed up the wrong wires for it. So glad that's sorted out now. All right, so we're underneath the Integra right now. So I got this test pipe off of eBay. It's actually pretty good construction. Paid, I believe, like 60 bucks plus shipping and tax, or what? No, 60 bucks plus tax. There's a broken OT sensor that came with my old AEM for the Accord, so just using it as a test fit, but just for you guys to know. So something tells me this catback system, actually, you know what, no, this is the original catback system. But as far as the headers and stuff go, like nothing matches up to anything to this chassis. I'm assuming it's an aftermarket header on here. So one key note that sucks about this thing, I mainly got this test pipe just so because it already has the O2 bungs, and basically so it's not, a catalytic converter, just straight pipe. So the stupid thing about this thing is I cannot clock it to line up right to where I can have this thing, the O2 sensor, perfectly either at 9 or 3 o'clock. So it clocks out of this. The other one would be at like 4 o'clock, which I do not trust the sensor like going down like that. Even at that, this car was at stock height, I do not trust this O2 sensor not nailing something on the road, especially here in Arizona. So what I had to do is this heat shield, I got some tin snips, cut it up, folded it back. I could have cut it off, but it's whatever. And this is the first car I've ever had to hammer in anything to, because I know like EFs and CRXs and stuff for like B series and stuff, I know you have to like hammer out I believe the driver's side or JDM passenger side to get the alternator to fit or something of that nature. So that's the first time I had to hammer this out just so this O2 sensor can bolt onto here, you know, the right way. So hopefully the O2 sensor will be fine from that. I mean, I'd rather it sit that close up to the chassis. I probably could hammer it even more, but I mean, I'm not too worried about it. I'd rather it sit there than it clocked at 4 o'clock towards the ground and me risking snagging something on there. I don't want to risk that at all. And cool thing too about keeping this heat shield, because I was just going to take this off completely, but it's easy, but it's a mission I didn't want to do because it doesn't break into 2 pieces like I assumed it did. It's all one piece all the way back towards where the muffler would be. So I don't want to do that. Cool thing is though, I can run this O2 sensor wire up through here, even around that bolt, to where once I get the O2 sensor, which unfortunately I don't think it's going to be coming in today, I can just plug it in through the engine bay. So I'm going to mount this thing up. So if you guys plan on getting this, I'm going to leave a link down in the description below to this test pipe, or if you get any other test pipe similar to this and you don't plan on welding your own O2 bung, just something to keep in mind of, they may not have welded the bungs at good areas. All right, got it. I have to hammer it out even more, but I mean it is really up against there. So hopefully long term it lasts. If not, I'm gonna have to figure out another location, or just pretty much just get another pipe and just custom make it, or custom make an O2 bung to where it's like at 3 o'clock. So yeah, hopefully it works out. So I have the wire tucked into that OEM heat shield, and then I added this little heat shield here just so it doesn't get too much heat from the test pipe. Everything's bolted up. Alright, so once the OT sensor comes in, I'm just going to plug it in here, run it through the firewall, and then that's that. Alright, so one of the things on the to-do list is I actually did a video I believe before, taking this whole dash out. Upon putting it back in, I actually either forgot to plug something in or did something wrong for the climate control change, you know, controlling from cool to heat, or in this case, since there's no AC, it would just be going from whatever ambient outside temperature is, or heater. Well, heater didn't work for whatever reason. However, blower motor blows out pretty good. So I kind of took what I learned in the past from the 96 Civic doing the radio. Oh, sorry about that. And there's this cable. Well, there used to be a cable on here. It's super simple. It just slips right on here somewhere. Let's see if I can find it for you guys. I always take my word for it. There's a cable that goes on here and it flips it like that. So basically, I thought this is what changes from cool to heat. What it actually does is opening up the vent for the foot area and splits it between the foot area as well as the top portions of the top vent. So this is with the foot area closed, this is with it open. Now I kind of had a problem with that as well too. I don't know why that is. I gotta check that in or look into that. It might be a fuse, or I might have not connected the all the climate control stuff right either. But didn't solve my heat feature. So cool trick for you guys if you can't figure it out, or let's say you got to change your heater control bypass valve. What you guys can do, especially during winter time, which it's going to be here within a month. Get a good view of it. Where did it go? Okay, it's kind of hard to see. Focus. Okay, this area right here. Be 2 hoses for your heater core. Heater core is behind that. You'll see those 2 big hoses back there. So all you want to do, slip my hand through here. So right now it's open. You got coolant flowing through. Sorry, it's kind of all right. Oh, now I can't do it. Ugh. Huh, crazy. I don't know why I can't do that now. Well, anyway, when this is at 3 o'clock position, valve's closed. When it's parallel facing towards the hose, that means it's open. It's letting coolant into the heater core, which is giving you hot air. So here's a quick tip for you guys: if you want heat immediately, that's how you do it. All right, the AEM AFR gauge finally came in. Took longer than I wanted it to be, but it showed up. Here is the serial number for it. This is my second one from AEM. Zero problems, except so I actually paid $150 for this. It comes with everything you need minus the O2 sensor, mostly due to the fact that the O2 sensor, it actually came with these kits that you'd normally pay around $170 or $180, around that ballpark. This sensor, the O2 sensors that come with them, mine didn't even last a day. Literally didn't even last a day. And from what I read from other reviews from other people, same deal, is pretty much hit or miss, like those O2 sensors they give in there. It's like an extra 20 bucks added on to, and I paid about 60, 70 at AutoZone for this. So I can find the part number. There's the part number for it. So I've had zero problems with it on the Accord ever since. So all in all, if you were to get like the $170, $180 kit, excuse me, that includes the O2 sensor. If that goes and you're gonna have to spend that extra, it's like kind of a gamble. Do you risk adding another 20 bucks to have a O2 sensor that more than likely won't live long enough to where you have to end up getting one of these anyway? So I mean, it's your choice. But so what this came with was brand new gauge, the signal power ground wires, the O2 wire. It does come with an O2 bung that needs to be welded on, as well as a couple of wire connectors and stuff and sticker. So I'm gonna go get everything hooked up now. I was trying to figure out a place where I was going to mount the AFR gauge, and normally I had it mounted here on the Accord, which I actually like. The only issue I ran is for the signal wire to the ECU, I didn't have enough wire, so it's like really stretched. I mean, I could always add more wire to it, but eventually I'm debating whether or not I want to do an actual like pillar gauge pod bar right there, or just put some pods right here. Still debating where I want to put it. What I did find, if you guys notice, I took out the clock, the original clock. Thankfully, when I bought this car, the kid gave me a new clock, not a new clock, but another clock inside the glove box, so I got that. And what I'm actually going to do is, the way it fits in here, I have this mount right here. I think I'm just going to clip it on. I don't even got to bolt it to nothing. I might even wire power and ground to these existing wires. I mean, I won't lose any sleep with or without a clock in this car anyway, but I'm going to do it that route. At least I can be able to sink the wires in through there if I want to run off a different power source, different ground source. So we'll see where I go from there. All right, so funny enough, that didn't end up working out. I actually had to rip off the whole dash twice and everything to get it all out. Long story short, I didn't consider the wires coming out of through there as well once I put the clock in, so don't do that. I ended up just routing it the same way I did the Accord. Much easier. Again, I'm probably going to have to extend some cables, especially for the signal to the ECU once I'm started tuning, once I program HTS to go off the wideband. So I have all the wires tucked in through here, and it's going up around. I still haven't wired it in yet, but that's probably what all I'm gonna have enough time to do today before I lose light, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll throw on the distributor, throw the ECU in, and start her up. So first thing, I'm gonna find a 12-volt source. Over here on the left side, got my tester. So this one right here only lights up when I turn the key all the way. For whatever reason, this one's not working, either if the car is on with lights on or off. I don't know why. And then this top one is a constant on, even with the keys out of the ignition. So I'm gonna turn the key all the way forward before cranking it. Okay. So that's where I'm gonna hook up the gauge, right there. The battery's hooked up. Let's see if this thing works. Hey, there we go. Starting to warm up perfect. That's normal. It'd be like fuel cut on D-cell, pretty much, kind of similar. But this is like from factory map. So I always kind of wondered. Mind you, so this is the B20 running off a B18 non-VTEC base map. All right, so we're gonna go on a little drive real quick. It's been steady at like around 14.7, 14.6, so not too bad. Again, I'm just gonna go a little test run around the block. First gear, slight throttle, second gear. Oh, so far it's not that bad. And when it shoots full lean like that, that's just fuel cut on D-cell. About half throttle. Definitely could be, you know, smoothened out for sure, but I mean, at least fuels aren't, AFR ain't that bad. Went like 13s, low 13s, wide open throttle. It's not bad actually. Stayed at like around low 14s, wide open throttle, third gear. You know, it's always good to see numbers like this. Again, bone stock B20B, stock internals, stock air intake with the B18 on VTEC intake manifold, some no-name 4-to-1 header, 2.5-inch test pipe, and 2 and a 1/4-inch test pipe to a 1.5-inch OEM stock exhaust. If that gives you any ideas. A little lean where I would want it to be, a little too rich where I don't want it to be, but I mean overall, not bad. Alright, so I didn't realize that the B18 non-VTEC base map runs a B20 so efficiently. Is it perfect? Not at all, but definitely doesn't like get you in the danger zone as far as like air fuel readings go. If I was to go through it with the same exact map on it now, I more than likely will have to pull out fuel in certain places, but you know, that's a good thing. And I've read through forums that people have used, and they said B18 non-VTEC maps or ECUs will at least turn on a B20. But seeing how well I've driven this thing for about 650 plus miles, like I'm not too worried to drive it even longer than that. Just knowing how well it does. So next step I'm going to be doing is installing the Obd1 distributor. I'm going to show you guys how to set, you know, top dead center and stuff like that to make sure when you throw the distributor on, when it comes to like, finding timing on it, once the car is running, you won't be so far off on that. And then after that, I'm going to throw on the new Obd1 ECU just to see if the ECU works. I'm going to take the chip off of that, and I'm going to burn B20 base map that I've made on HTS. I basically just took a B18 base map because they do not have a B20 on there. I took a B18 non-VTEC base map and just smoothed out the ignition map as well as the fuel map. and just pretty much left most of the default HTS parameters alone. Again, I just wanted to see if it starts, see if the ECU, works and all that stuff. And then after that, I'm going to take that ECU out, grab the Obd1 ECU out of the Accord because it has the, the JN2 port on it for me to hook up most oscillators on it so I can see live data and stuff like that, and then actually like fine tune it there. Save that file, burn it onto the chip, and then have it tuned Integra. Okay, so now that we have the AFR hooked up, next thing I'm going to do now is going to be installing the Obd1 distributor. So the first thing I'm going to do, I turn the wheels to the left so I have access to the crank pulley. So because I'm going to be turning this engine up to top dead center. Basically, I'm going to try to look for the marks on the pulley itself and then line it up with, so you guys can see it, that marking right here. Other ways to verify this, I can take out the spark plug from cylinder 1, put a long screwdriver down there, and once it's fully upwards, that should be top dead center roughly. And another thing I'm going to look to, I'm going to take off the cap off the Obd0 distributor, and here is firing order for 1. I'm going to see where that rotor, get it to where it rotates to where it's pointing there. So kind of 3 ways to verify top dead center, or kind of 4 ways if I took the valve cover off. I can see the cam marks both at 12 o'clock. See the single dash, not the 3 consecutive ones. That should mark for like 15 degrees after, or 15 degrees after top dead center, I believe. I could be wrong on that. I could always get that mixed up, or before top dead center, one of those two. Anyway, so I'm gonna line it up with the crank, verify that on top if I remove the valve cover, which I'm not gonna do, and then also verify that the rotor is going to be aimed at number 1 position. So removing the distributor is fairly easy. You have 3 bolts, 12mm socket, one here, and then if you guys can see it, another one right back there. To take off the cap, you have 3 little bolts here, one here, and I can't get it on camera, but there's another one underneath of it, more towards underneath where firing order number 1 is. And just use a Phillips head screwdriver or an 8mm socket. Alright, I use an extension to watch it visually go up and down, so it's at the highest point right now on cylinder 1. If you guys can see it, it's going to be pretty difficult for you guys. So you can see this is where the mark locator at. And then if you guys can see, that's where the little mark is right there. Whoops, sorry about that. And then here on the distributor side, rotor's facing number 1 where the firing order would be. So like, what is it? What I say again? So 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, so now that the rotor is facing towards firing order number 1 for cylinder 1, took the cap off this and orientated the rotor towards the same direction. So this rotor spins as well. So the cool thing is when this goes in, it pretty much goes in only one way. So even though I'm in like general, ballpark, it's going to move either, up or down more or less. So don't really worry for this being like totally on point. Alright, Obd1 distributor is in, as well as the Obd0 to Obd1 jumper harnesses, or sorry, distributor jumper harnesses. So 2-wire and more than 2-wire. It's pretty simple. They all plug in the same way. Just hand tighten all 3 of these bolts because once I get the ECU in on here, I'm going to have to verify timing anyway. So next up is going to be the ECU. So one more thing I forgot to mention, if you guys get a distributor that has an internal ignition coil, it'd be a good idea to replace these coils, especially if you buy it used. When I received mine for the Accord, my coil lasted like maybe less than a year's worth of driving, if that. So, and I replaced it with whatever AutoZone O'Reilly's had. I forgot where I went to go get a new one. It's fairly simple. It's just bolts in, bolts out, just connect the wires to the right place. And so far, I haven't had a problem. All right, the Obd1 distributor is officially in. Just remember the firing order, 1, 3, 4, 2. Have your distributor jumper harness all put away nicely where there's as little kinks as possible, and if possible as well, throw in some like heat shield or heat wraps, whatever. This is what the new wire looks like. That's what the wires look like now since '91. So kind of give you an idea what heat, moisture, and all that stuff can do after all those years. just good assurance. Okay, we're here on the passenger side. Took off this plastic cover right here. It's not bolted down by anything. So here's the Obd0 ECU held down. Okay, so I actually took it off. There's a shield on this whole thing, like a floor metal shield to prevent, you know, any physical damage hitting this thing. I already took that off to remove the ECU. It's just 4 nuts on each corner, and then just pull it out. And then here's the Obd0, you know, harness. Going to connect the jumper to that, and then throw the Obd1 ECU into here. Alright, so here's the Obd1 ECU that I got recently. So again, let's see here, there's the chip port, no CN2 port at the moment. Got this now vintage Motes burn 2. Got the chip on here, except I realized it wasn't an SST chip that I'm used to. So we'll see how that works. And basically, so I got flash and burn up on here. Now, normally if it was the SST style chip, I would just do that, hit verify, and as you guys can see, the logs, it has failed to verify. So for this, let's see, what is it? Oh, I don't know if you guys can even see that. Guy wrote B20 VTech, because that's the map he has on here right now, which I'm going to erase. A Winbon, I can't even really make out the serial number on it. So a Winbon chip, which I've never heard of before, so we'll see how this works. So I actually hit randomly this one, and that seemed to verify successfully. So read the chip, there is a tune on there. Okay, so I'm going to see here, erase chip, erase, command returned failure. Alright, so I acted kind of weird again. I went to go verify the chip with buffer, and as you guys can see from the history here, verification failed on all 3 of these. So basically I just did a blank check. As you can see, chip is not blanked. I checked it, I basically like erased it, blank checked, it said it's blank, loaded in the file, the B20 map, programmed it, and it says it's on there. So I don't see why this wouldn't work. Okay, the Obd1 ECU's in. There's the jumper harness, everything connected perfectly. I'm just like hoping that this ECU works, the chip's good, and this thing starts. So hopefully verify that before I take the ECU out of the Accord, and then figure it out and fine tune it with Motes Ostrich. All right, I'm gonna try first start up. Okay, there we go. ECU works. Check engine light. All right. We'll warm up a little bit. Definitely starts off a lot quicker and easier. Got to check timing. Don't know why there's check engine light, but figure it out. Alright, so it's running. Definitely needs a tune. I need to plug in the Motes Ostrich tune to see exactly what's going on. As you can hear, this is jumping around right now. It's idling almost at 2,000 RPMs, and I've tried to manually like just loosen the throttle cable to like manually adjust idle, and it's not doing anything. So kind of lost right now. Figure it out. Yeah, check engine light. It's just bouncing all over the place. I have no idea why. I have an idea. It could be the intake air temperature sensor, kind of like what happened in the Accord. I mean, there's one plugged in on the manifold itself, but yeah, at least I know the ECU works. All right, I was going to add this to a continuation of this video, but given the circumstances and the timing of it, it'd be kind of a worthless video to make. So in short, the P06 ECU that I bought locally is junk. It doesn't work. It'll start the car, but I can't change anything on the thing. Like the Motes Ostrich emulator will connect to it from, it'll say connection from laptop to the ECU, where you normally put, you know, your SST chip, and whatever I change on HTS, it will not respond to it at all. A burn chip, I used an SST, you know, the one that's worked for the Accord. Burn the map onto there, nothing changed. And I can't even, it'll start the car. It keeps it at a high rev, like around 1500 RPMs. as soon as I put like more than 5-10% of throttle into it, the car pretty much bogs down and dies. So under further investigation of it, I looked at the board. Come to find out, RP17 was cut, RP18 wasn't. Now, what that tells me is more than likely this ECU used to be an automatic ECU, and they forgot to get rid of RP18, which was more than likely causing the trouble. I cut it, bridged it, put the ECU back in the car, same exact thing. So then I decided, okay, well, maybe I need to calibrate the TPS. So I soldered in the CN2 port onto it, connected my Hue log to it, and it will not connect no matter what, like at all, no matter what I do. So I can't change anything on that. So, and I did back-to-back tests. I grabbed the ECU that I know works for the Accord, put it in the Integra, hooked up everything works flawless, like it should. Nothing wrong with HTS, everything works. So I know for a fact it's the ECU. If any of you ECU guys out there have any ideas what this could be or what a common problem is, let me know in the comments below. If you want to get more in depth, please hit me up on Instagram. I'll leave a link down in the description. I'll provide pictures, videos, whatever you need me to provide you for you guys to, like, hopefully eyeball on the internet to try to hopefully help me out. Otherwise, I'm stuck with Paperweight on this ECU. Alright, so I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content on the vlog on the Integra. There's going to be many more to come. Next video, hopefully I get it all figured out. I'm going to hook up the Accord ECU to it and go over the logs of it and see what's going on. So just driving a little around the block on just pretty much a B18 base map given from HTS, and just smoothing out the spark and the ignition and fuel maps. Like, it's running super rich. I mean, just at light throttle, just getting out of the driveway, like it was going to like low 12s, high 11s and stuff. So like it definitely needs a tuning. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.